Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Community Builders Podcast, where we show the in and out how to scale your lifestyle coaching business using content and community. So, Jeff, what's up, man? How are you doing?
Doing great, brother. Excited for the day. I mean, this is one of our favorite topics for sure. No doubt about
Yeah, man, obviously. So,
it. Yeah.
community builders. So, what are we talking about today?
So I guess let's start with the most obvious question, right? Why should an online coach have a community?
Yeah, so there's a lot of reasons that I believe that a community is the perfect business model right now. I think that if you're selling like a high ticket, if you're a high ticket coach, one of the things you're going to be running probably a webinar funnel or a VSL funnel, low ticket funnel maybe. And I think if you wrap any of those funnels into a community, you instantly will improve your result. With all of those different approaches, there's a lot of kind of a leaky bucket. And you could have the best funnel in the world and it still would be a leaky bucket. Booking rates are low, show up rates for the calls are notoriously low. And then even when you get people on the call, a lot of times, especially if you're running cold ads, those people don't necessarily know you unless you're a big name guru that just everybody knows, which most of us aren't. So those people that get on our call are harder to close. I believe that if you wrap any of those funnels into a community, you would instantly improve your booking rate. I think you'd instantly improve your show up rate and your close rate. So that's one. The other thing is I think things are just really hard in the economy right now. You've got inflation's really high, just the cost of living is really high. Plus, we're in a phase of humanity where trust is just low. You've probably heard the phrase trust recession before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I hear it all the time these days. And there's some truth to that. There's fake news on the internet. There's very heavily biased internet, social media posts that really influence a whole group of people. And that's why everybody's fighting and hates each other right now. So I think there's just a big trust issue with humanity in general. Plus, you've got AI coming out with like deep fakes, and it's just, there's a lot of mistrust going on. So also, you've got the high ticket industry. I think the high ticket space for coaches is also, I think there's just a lot of fatigue with people buying high ticket programs. I know you're kind of like me, you have like a addiction to buying these programs,
Absolutely.
and a lot of them are great. You get a lot of takeaways, but some of them not so great. So I think people are just kind of tired of that. And so I think that when you start feeling something like that, you'll start to see these shifts happen. And usually they start from the top because, the gurus have all the data and they're starting to see things first. And you've seen this. You've seen a big shift in the high ticket space of people moving to communities. And so there's obviously a reason to that. Now, just because the gurus are doing it doesn't mean that everybody should. But I do think it's one of the best models right now because it gives you a lot of flexibility on how you make money and how you monetize it. Whether, you're just creating a recurring revenue from selling memberships, which you can create a very fun and lucrative business that way. And the cool thing about communities is that also you can bolt on like a back end program and then increase your customer lifetime value that way. So there's a lot of flexibility in communities. And I just think it's a really interesting model to look at right now.
No, man, that's great stuff. One of the areas I guess I've always struggled a little bit with is kind of the idea and the difference of really like a membership versus like a community platform, right?
Mhm.
Because obviously memberships has a lot of features. I mean, do you mind giving me just a kind of few different elements? Like maybe which community softwares, what your kind of thoughts are on the current options, and maybe like key elements maybe that are like important to softwares.
Well, I think they're kind of one and the same. I think it's just the way people phrase it. I mean, you could probably have a membership without having much community around it. I think it would be much less effective that way. The community portion of it is just, I think, more having, whether that's just the community feed where people are engaging with each other and kind of networking, collaborating, or having weekly meetups or workshops or things when everybody gets together and hangs out. So I think the community aspect, just like you would if you were out in the real world, is just people coming together, networking, collaborating. So yes, you can have memberships without a community, but I think for the most part, when people say memberships in the online space, they're also rolling in communities into that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I
You can
know.
just have like educational membership, but I think nowadays membership community is almost one and the same, especially in the online space.
Yeah, I mean, I know. In the past, I've bought a number of, I guess, access to
Mhm.
membership platforms that had, for the most part, a lot of just kind of do it yourself. You were kind of on your own. There wasn't. It was just like, hey, here's just some great material. You kind of study it. Personally, I absolutely love the idea of having access to whether it's other members or obviously the individual the tier that I'm studying and that type of thing. I think primarily just because after COVID, working from home and the idea of just say isolated, but sometimes I feel like you're kind of on an island. So I really believe community is going to be huge, and I know those are the ones I've enjoyed the most, and the masterminds I've really enjoyed have always had that element to it. So Good stuff. Good stuff. What softwares are out there that you would kind of look at and you've seen or used it, and then what are a couple of those key elements that like say pretty important to have in the software that somebody who's going to run a community?
Yeah, so I've experienced a lot of them. I've been on a couple of circle communities. I think it's got a lot of cool features, but to me, it's very busy and it's like kind of hard to navigate. The user experience is not that great, in my opinion. I'm sure some people absolutely love it. I've never been on a Mighty Networks, which is another big one that I know people like. The ones that I have the most experience with, and that I am so my community, as you know, our communities are on Skool, and I think Skool's a really great platform. They have really, sold the idea and convinced people. And I think there's a lot of truth to it, just to keep things stupid simple. If you know Sam Evans, that's kind of his whole thing, is just keep things simple. And so it's a very simple platform, but it has all the features that you really need to run a business. So running a membership on Skool becomes very easy. Now, I think there's some different functionalities and capabilities that I wish they would add and make some changes to, but and they don't seem super interested in innovating too much in the tool. I think they're kind of, the way they approach it is keep it simple and look at the data and see what the data shows them, and then they add features based off of that. So there's a lot of functionalities that are pretty basic that I wish they would have. The one like duplicating courses, I wish they'd have that. But the reason I kind of started with Skool was because our CRM's HighLevel, market automation. I'm a huge HighLevel guy, but when I was ready to start my community, their community functionality just wasn't there. Over the past few months, I've seen them made some major strides there. Plus, I've seen their roadmap, which is pretty cool. I like the fact that they actually have a community or just roadmap in general on their what's coming out in their platform. Plus, you can filter it down by what's going on in the community, and everything that Skool has that I think HighLevel is currently missing is coming out in the next quarter. It's June 19th now. So I think in the next quarter, or so, HighLevel is going to be the dark horse that's going to really come on pretty strong. And so between those two communities, I don't think you can go wrong. I like HighLevel because, if I had to start over, I'd probably go with HighLevel just because everything's under one roof. And plus I can save a couple of $100 a month because we have a free and a paid community. So those are my two favorite as far as starting a community. So that's probably where I'd start. Again, there's people that love those other two, Circle and Mighty Networks, but in my opinion, those are the two I'd focus on.
Well, when you mentioned, that obviously HighLevel being a little bit behind, but obviously they catch up real fast on everything.
Mm-hmm.
What are a couple of those key features? I mean, you just mentioned like duplicating courses, but is there any of those other features that might be really important to have, or that you would say are kind of like absolutes, shall we say, if somebody isn't in a position to go with Skool, and they decide to go with say HighLevel for the money savings? What are some of those kind of key elements, I guess, or features that you really love that have a lot of impact for a coach in the community?
The things that are missing right now that are coming out, or just in general?
I mean, just in general. I mean, I think definitely the ones missing out would be good to know for people. But I think also like some of the key elements. I mean, like I know for me, I like the fact that the like in Skool, the classroom is like right there. It's super easy. It's across it. The banner, super clean interface. I mean, the user experience with Skool is pretty spectacular. So like for me, I would say that's a real important piece of
Mm-hmm.
a community. Clean interface, make it simple, especially for all of us non-techie people, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
there's a lot of us coaches that we love helping people, but it doesn't involve really the idea of a lot of technical stuff. So I guess I just didn't know if you maybe had a couple features that are really important, when you're looking for community software, which might lead somebody to choose maybe a Skool over HighLevel. So
Yeah. So, and if you look at HighLevel, let's be honest, a lot of what they do is they look at the big guys out there that are doing really well and whatever feature they're wanting to add to the software. And a lot of times it's pretty much a carbon copy. So it looks a lot like Skool. Yeah, they've shifted where things are and stuff like that. But it's a model. They've modeled it off of. So you've got the community feed, you've got kind of the classroom area, you've got the where you can track all your members, you've got the leaderboards and all that. So all that's kind of the same thing. That the biggest thing that for me that's missing out of HighLevel right now that I really want to see is the chat feature, because being able to chat on platform with your community members is huge. I mean, that's
for
a
sure.
big way that we take people from our free community and get them to join our paid community or get them on a call to potentially ascend them into our higher ticket program. So that's a huge one. It's missing the calendar, but that's coming coming out, I think probably this month, like the calendar area where you can have, schedule all your events and everything like that. I think that the thing that Skool doesn't have, they're very inflexible in their payment options. Like you can only have a monthly subscription right now. You can't even do an annual, which I think to me is pretty much a no-brainer because pensions kind of and churn is a big thing when it comes to membership. So one of the big ways that people, defeat the churn or beat the churn a little bit is by selling annual memberships, because that you'll bring in more cash flow than if you would, whatever your typical time that you keep a member. So maybe that's 6 months. If you could sell your annual membership for more than what you would get for that 6 months, and you're making more money. So I think that's very basic. But again, I think GoHighLevel is going to have all of those features. I don't know. There's no roadmap for Skool, which I don't like. It's just whenever Sam Evans pops in a new feature, that whether you asked for it or not. But they're very smart about, I think, how they roll certain things out. I think just GoHighLevels just can develop faster than everybody else. And when it first comes out, maybe it's a little buggy, but eventually they'll dial it in and it'll be a really strong product.
No, I mean, and I can definitely, from my experience with Skool, being not real techy, it is an easy platform to navigate and to do, and the features you mentioned are pretty powerful. Interesting. There's also been just a ton of buzz about Skool. So, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, there's just been a lot of talk in a lot of YouTube videos. I mean, just everyone's speaking about Skool.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, when I joined Skool and started my community, Sam Evans it had been around a little bit, but I had started to like slowly start seeing people that I knew and gurus in the space kind of like moving on to Skool and starting their communities or moving from Facebook to Skool. I saw a lot of that. So a lot of the Facebook groups that I was in were moving to Skool. And so that caught my attention. Sam Evans is a fairly big name in the space, been around for a long time. So anything that he starts, people are going to probably pay attention to. He's a great marketer. So he's probably created his own buzz. And then so you start seeing this shift of a lot of the gurus going on there, which I think people pay attention to. And then, the biggest thing is obviously Hermosi coming out and saying that he's made the biggest investment in his life. And so that guy's cranking out ungodly amounts of content. I think he does like 450 pieces of content a week or something like that. So he's got a lot of attention. He's got a huge audience. And so that when he made that announcement, I know some of the guys that have been talking about Skool previously, they instantly saw their subscription go through the roof, their video views go through the roof. So, what's the old adage? Something floats boats or something. What's the, what I'm talking about?
I know what you're speaking about. I can't remember right now, but
okay. So, he has carried that. That's where you see the big hockey stick growth for schools. And then now, it's become probably the leading, I would say, definitely the fastest growing community platform. And I think Facebook or GoHighLevel probably saw that and then kicked their stuff into gear. And now they're going to put a lot more focus on that because they see that there's a lot of opportunity in the community space.
And I can say from a user standpoint, right? So me going into a community, and obviously we're members of a number of different ones. Great interface, super easy, everything else. What about on the back end, on the tech side? I mean, you do that for us. So, you're obviously extremely talented on the tech side. How easy is that part of it, or like what would you say on the back end side, kind of running the community? What's kind of the experience with Skool on that side of it?
I mean, it's easy. It's like I said, it's very basic, and I haven't really collected payments through there because we recently transitioned from a hybrid group where we had all of our free and paid members into one group. And I don't really suggest that model. So I kind of like breaking it up into free and paid. That way, all the people that are in your paid, and both of those segments kind of need their own category of type of content, right?
Sure.
And so, yeah, managing things on the back end, if you just strictly had that model free and paid, now there's not really a email CRM or anything like that. So you can't do like lead nurturing campaigns or anything like that. But that part is pretty easy to manage. But again, it's pretty inflexible. You can't do a lot of interesting automations like you can with GoHighLevel, which I I'm a huge automation nerd. I want to streamline as much as I can with my
Right.
business.
Absolutely.
So, there's not a lot of automate. Their automation is very limited, and the flexibility and the things that you can do is pretty limited. But it's easy to manage
Good.
for people that are non-techie. It's very, very good.
Yeah, no, there's definitely an advantage to that for sure, especially
Mhm.
with a lot of coaches not being again on the technical side. They're just really great coaches. So, and kind of thinking about that, so let's say I'm a coach. I maybe I'm using a platform that's really again designed more for membership, not as much on the community side, or I'm using, a software that allows me to host my courses on and so forth. And all of a sudden I decide, you know what, I got to get on this thing with community. I need to start a community. What are some insights of like what they should do with it? How can they grow it? I mean, how is it from adding another thing to do kind of for a coach, in their business? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's a lot of questions there.
For sure.
First, let's talk about like adding something to your business. Yes, it adds another element to your business, another place where you have to create content. I found personally that it's more fun. So before we started our community, we were really focused on our Facebook community. And I just kind of honestly used it as a lead generation channel, as a funnel. I'm having way more fun and I'm way more invested in my Skool community than I ever was with my Facebook community. And I feel like I'm closer to the community members. So to me, it's almost like just hanging out with friends. And then every now and then I'll post, something when I feel like it. It's not like I'm pressuring myself to constantly create content for the community.
Sure.
Because, I feel like we've created a relationship there, which is awesome. So that's one thing. Also, some of the data that has come out from, if familiar with the Skool Games, which is like a contest that Skool runs they bring the top, I think, 10 people that brought in the most paid members that month to Vegas, and Hermosi and Evans have like a live mastermind with those people. Anyway, I watch all those because I'm a nerd, and Sam Evans basically always talks about the data that they're seeing. And what it was interesting to me was he said that some of the most engaging posts inside the community, and I don't know whether you would expect this or I'll ask you that in a second, but that the most engaging posts in the community were not these long value-based posts where all of us feel like we need to be posting that kind of stuff. It was maybe like one question, one sentence post asking the community members about themselves. Now, I think it's got to be a balance. It's got to be a mix. But would you expect that to be the most engaging post? I mean, I guess in some ways I kind of think that makes sense, but other ways it kind of goes against my.
I mean, I would think generally, if there's more input, so a post is longer, speaking about more things, there'd be more things to respond to, right? So I guess, trying to be logical about it, a longer post, in my mind, I guess you'd think would get more comments. So it's interesting that they're getting more comments on the shorter ones,
Yeah.
so that is definitely, it's intriguing with that. And boy, does it simplify things, right? Not having to
Yeah.
come up with these
Yes,
super long,
exactly.
this super long content and feeling
Takes
this
a lot of
pressure
the
to
stress
constantly
on
do that.
there. Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I think that's an important aspect of a successful community is, yes, you want to have value, but you also want to make it fun for your members, right? And you want to kind of create an identity that the community is striving for, right? So Community Builders is our podcast. We've just changed our membership to that because that's kind of what we believe in and how we believe you can grow a great, fun lifestyle business doing that. So I think that's important. As far as like the structure of the community, so it really depends on whether you're doing a free community or a paid community. There's several different models you can use to monetize a community. There's just the free, where you just build up this free community as big as possible, and you can either sell affiliate products and make affiliate commissions, or you can sell your own products or services in there just through a free community, kind of use it as a funnel. The other option is starting with free and then eventually transitioning that to a paid once you reach a certain milestone. Then there's the paid and free community, where you use the free community and we'll talk about that in a second because that's kind of the model I'm most interested in. And you filter those people and convert them into a paid community, and then you just have the pure paid community. The paid community starting, I think that's kind of difficult unless you have a huge following, because people are probably less willing to pay you money if they don't know you. So I would say that's kind of strictly for influencers. I like, as you know, we like now I used to have the hybrid of that has both the free and the pay. I don't like that. I think you separate those two out. And so in the free community is really geared towards helping the members in that community make a transformation. And so that transformation is just maybe the first step or first couple of steps in your overall system that gives them a quick win and also prepares them for and creates demand for the rest of your system, right? So for us, for instance, we and if you want to check this out, we give a free master class on how to launch your new community and get your first 100 members. So that's the transformation that we're helping people do. So we're helping them launch their community, which a lot of people take forever to get that thing launched. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for you, and then we're going to show you some simple strategy to get your first 100 members and get you some momentum. So if you want that course, there should be a link somewhere around, or you can comment below and we'll send you the link to join our community. But that's kind of what we are focused on with the free community, is helping them make that transformation. And in the paid community, we're giving them the comprehensive, full, complete system to help them to grow and monetize and scale their communities and their lifestyle business.
That's awesome. And how would a coach fit a high ticket item or a high ticket, traditionally a high ticket program in this model?
Yeah, so the way we are doing it, so we drive traffic organically or paid, however you're driving traffic into the community, typically by offering that lead magnet. And to me, the best lead magnet is like a free masterclass that makes that one transformation. I think that's a great lead magnet. And then once they get into the community, we're just focused on getting them to consume that content, but also every post that we make, all of the different lessons in that masterclass are pointing to book a call with us, onboarding call. Also, we do DM outreach and provide value and follow up with the leads that seem the most engaged with us, the most responsive, to get them onto that call. So on that call, then you kind of have the conversation with the member, and then you, based on their situation, what they need, you try to point them in the direction that's most beneficial to them, whether that's the paid community, which is a lower ticket monthly subscription, or if there's somebody that's a good fit for your higher ticket, you can sell that. And then once you get people into the paid community, now you've got a customer. You don't have just a lead, you've got a customer, and customers are going to be way more easier to convert into your higher ticket program. So that's kind of the flow of how that funnel would work.
That's good. That's great. I mean, it's amazing. Speaking of the free course, from your perspective, I know historically people can get really caught up and they call that the procrastination situation, right? Where it's like they have this idea for a course and it just takes them forever to do it. So I love the idea of giving away a free course. Obviously, that's so powerful when you really help people. But what's your take kind of on that aspect of it? Because a lot of people get truly hung up with getting a course done or even just getting some of the basics done on a course. What do you think?
I don't know if people will like this answer or not. I think it takes a little bit of the stress off of it, but I say don't create the course first. So that's probably going to go against it, blow everybody's mind, but don't create the course first. Get an idea of what the course should be, have the outline and the structure mapped out, and then maybe you do a module or two of it, and then go out and start creating content, start having a call to action at the end of each one of those contents with the hook around the course. And then once people start engaging and wanting the course, that's going to create a deadline for you. And then those deadlines will make you get the stuff done. And it might not be perfect. I'm not expecting it to be perfect, but it will make you to get that stuff done. So that's kind of one thing, is like, I want you to go build your audience. I want you to go validate the idea of this free course before you go put all this work in. There's no use in doing this. That just makes no sense. But have it outlined, have it ready to where you can, block off a day or a weekend and just crank that stuff out. Now, to actually create the content, now with ChatGPT and different AI tools, it's much easier to go and do some research and get it to give you a starting point that you can then improve on. We've actually got a couple of tools that we offer our members inside of our community as part of the value add. So we offer our community members GrowthWorks AI, which is a tool by a guy named Aaron Fletcher, which you fill out a couple of questions or answer a couple of questions, and then it will map out the course for you. And then you can go in there and you can tweak it. And basically what you would do is fill out these 2 questionnaires. And once you have those 2 questionnaires, probably take you an hour, hour and a half to fill those out. It will actually create at the push of a button those courses for you. Now they're not going to be perfect. You're going to want to go ahead and tweak them, but it will actually create the outline of those courses for you. So that's one thing. And then to supplement that, we've actually created our own AI tools, which I've spent hours and hours creating the back end prompts to give the output that I am satisfied with, and I'm very picky when it comes to that. So we give them that, which helps them to create the course. It'll help them outline the course. It'll help them start to create the scripts for the videos for the course. And so those 2 tools, along with just your own, if you're somebody that doesn't have a problem like scripting out the stuff and just going and shooting it, just do that. But if you need some help getting started, you're somebody that you're staring at a blank page and just can't get any inspiration, then use these tools to kind of help you along. So that's my 2 cents on that.
And let me just add from I don't want to say like I'm completely non-techie. 'Cause I mean, I can do some tech work, and I do okay with softwares. But I'll tell you, those tools that we have that have been put together, like it literally fast tracks 4 or 5 times the speed. I mean, you're getting 85, 90% done with AI, and the way you've done the tools. I mean, even the kind of perfecting it a bit is fairly easy, and the tools are super easy to use.
Yeah,
So
they're promptless, so you don't
yeah, it's
have to write your own
crazy.
prompts. You just have to be able to have a back and forth conversation and answer questions essentially, and then it'll
Yeah,
spit it
and
out.
that's crazy to me. It's like you literally have the questions that are being asked you answer them, and it spits out incredible results, and so really cool. So would you say then that it's almost like you would, I guess, get a temperature check, I guess, with the audience you have? I mean, you probably have a direction of a course or whatnot, but ultimately, what you're going to do is you're going to kind of plan some days, maybe even do it kind of live, and use some of that as that initial course. Maybe it's a workshop perhaps or something, but ultimately, you film it live, and that can become that free course potentially that you give. Is
Yeah,
that
that's another
your
great
strategy?
option. I mean, if you create, I always say build with your community. Even when you're building out your like paid stuff, same thing. Like have just and that way, if you kind of create with the community, that keeps them longer because now they're expecting the next thing the next week, and then you're building the whole course along with them. Plus, you get the feedback from the community and the members on what they liked, what they didn't, so you can improve the product.
Yeah, I mean, I can just tell you from my experience, we're working with, lots and lots of coaches, they always seem to have a program in process, right? And
Mm,
very seldom, they have it actually done. And I know our method is a bit different, but I like that because again, we're really that mindset, like, action over perfection. Done is better than perfect, right? And
I'm
I
a
feel
big
like, I mean, it's huge, right? I think Tony Robbins actually said that complexity is the enemy of execution. And I'd really like to add that I think that perfection is a part of that complexity he's speaking about,
Mhm.
right? Because it's so easy to want, when you're a coach, you want to get results, you want to help your people, and like I know I can even do it where I just get caught up in this idea of like wanting it to be perfect, and I know that can be also a procrastinator, right? As I mentioned earlier, where it's easy then not to do stuff because you want it to be perfect. So I love the idea of just saying, hey, we're going to do a workshop on this date, and everybody show up. We're going to shoot it live, and then from there, obviously that becomes a great training. It could potentially be a course or maybe that free course that you're speaking about, which I
Yeah.
think is again brilliant. Um,
Yeah,
and then I love the idea of
perfection
perfecting
is
it over time.
yeah, perfection has never been an issue for me. Just I put a lot. I'm not scared to put something out there that's not perfect, which a lot of times bites me in the ass. But for the most part, I think it's a good quality just to be able to just say screw it and put it out there and then iterate on it.
Yeah, and I think that's the key right there. Is it like life is it's like the art of perfecting, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, perfection can be the destination, and man, so we all want to aim for that. I mean, it's virtually impossible to get perfect, but I think always aiming to get better. I love when people speak about that. 1% better every day kind of thing. And I really the reality is if you do a workshop, and I think it was Russell Brunson. What do you do, like 52 live, kind of perfect webinars? Like he did like every week for a year, and it's like, by the end of that, I mean, obviously he's one of the top people in the world. So I would imagine it's the same thing with a course. Get your first course, shoot it again, keep making it better, and that
Mhm.
is what you're gonna be way more ahead than the majority of people out there. And when you speak about the free course, share a little bit about kind of like, I guess, what the free course, for example, we have. What's that big, the payoff, or you mentioned earlier, but I just want to kind of chat about it again. But what would somebody get coming to our community, taking our free course?
Yeah, so the course basically kind of walks you through, first of all, picking your niche. We've got a checklist for helping you set up your community, how to kind of map out your free course for yourself. Same, because we're teaching the same model we're using, right? How to map out the course for yourself, how to use our different AI tools to create the course content. And then we've got some very simple strategies to get you started to start driving traffic and getting your first few clients. Also, how to choose the right platform for your community, that kind of thing. But basically, the promise is we're going to help you start your community and we're going to help you get your first 100 members. So if you want that, there's a link somewhere or drop a comment. We'll get you access to it.
Yeah, and again, I think that's one of those key elements. If somebody's going to have a community, right, and they're going to give a free course, I mean, have some real value. Have it really help people.
Yeah.
So, you get a community, it starts, it's launched. How do you keep it engaging? Like, how do you keep the community engaging?
Yeah, and that's a tough part. People are busy. That's a huge part of it. I think part of it is just growing it as much as possible. The things that I have seen, and I'm a big fan of kind of what we call community hacking. Same thing as like Russell Brunson's funnel hacking, but we look at every aspect of what we're going to be creating a lot of content around breakdowns of different communities coming up. So, and I think that's going to be super valuable. So, what I do basically is I have an Airtable system where I can go in and I can use, there's a little extension called Web Clipper, and I can go in and I can look at all of the different posts that have gotten the most engagements. And I try to join all these communities that have are highly engaged. And then I can look at and kind of analyze what was the kind of type of post that got the most engagement, and then kind of model that. Don't copy it, but model what they're doing. Things that I've seen and the kind of the data that Sam Evans kind of talks about is, these short kind of engagement type questions. What's your favorite book? What's your favorite podcast? Those kind of things. I know it sounds kind of stupid, but we're getting to know people. I think that a fun one to do is, I did a post inside of our community is like, tell me who you are in 3 emojis. And so I put mine up. Mine was like cornhole, Ole Miss football, and live music. I think I had a Grateful Dead banner or something like that. So I think it's fun. And I think you can learn a lot about somebody by the gifts that they create, but also just asking people to comment and respond in gifts. That's fun. There's a guy named Goose Dunleavy. I would kind of join his free community. He makes it really, really fun. And so I kind of take things from the communities that I'm a part of to see what's most engaging. So I've seen a lot of people do challenges inside their community, not necessarily like the 5-day challenge model where you try to sell people on the back end, but more, something inside of the course that you're teaching them, challenging people over the next week or over the next month to do something inside of that, to take action, and then rewarding the people that take the most action. I've seen that work really, really well. And then polls, I think adding polls to just adds another element that makes it really easy for people to engage. And the other last one I'll say is keeping people involved in decisions you're making about the community or about really anything you're working on yourself and you just want some advice around. I think people want to be heard and want to kind of network with people that are on the same journey as them. So I think as long as you can kind of keep them involved in the process, and it doesn't have to be all about and throwing in some value here and there, I think is very important. It's got to be that balance of fun and value.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's great stuff. What about some best practices, maybe on maybe community management? Perhaps appointment setting. Once you have a community, I know we're running a bit out of time here, so but what would be kind of your thoughts on that, and then we'll maybe wrap up for the day.
Well, I'll kind of flip that on you. So you kind of manage our outreach. But one of the things that we've implemented is we have a system, our community OS, which we offer, our higher ticket clients, and we teach our membership clients how to build it. But we have an Airtable system where we're tracking all of our leads, all of our members. We know who's the hottest or the most responsive, most engaged. And then we have a system that helps us keep up with when we're supposed to be following up with those people. And so, you're reaching out to those folks, and we're always offering a call. So we're offering value first, and then checking in on their progress, and then offering up a call to help them get, keep moving forward, and seeing where they are and how they're liking the content, the course. Because if we're talking about the free stuff, because we want them to consume that content so that they make that transformation to be ready for the next thing. So I'll kind of flip that around on you and kind of like, what kind of things are you seeing that's working? What are you doing on the back end and the DMs and outreach and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, like business in general, is being proactive, right? And taking the time to be proactive, to do what you just shared. Make sure you're reaching out to people, offering help. We're going to integrate, some of those kind of, unstuck days. Okay, if you're stuck, jump on a call. Doing some Q&A, trying to do like office hours. I know we're doing a new. Monday morning, kind of like a coffee and content concept, and I think we might do maybe one of the evenings we'll do like a cocktails and content kind of concept.
Mhm.
And I think it's always being active, letting people see what's going on, and of course we have the privilege of we have a community manager with one of our executive assistants, right? And I would say that if somebody is putting themselves in a position to start a community, if they're really looking for a way to, I would say, not just grow it, but really to grow the engagement within it, is to begin treat it very proactively. You can start off yourself, and if you're just starting out, be your own community manager. But that's one of the first people I would probably consider, bringing in. I know that some of the best practices I've seen, other communities, which I know we're going to do a little bit of community hacking a bit, but they might have like some of their top students actually become some of the
Mm.
the people inside the community. So there's a lot of great practices. Obviously, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about that over the next years, like really how community impacts a business. Um, but I would say, and then the only aspect other than a community manager is, making sure that, as always in business, that you're putting in the mindset of serving first, giving value, and then from then just offering people that opportunity to jump on a call and kind of can get them unstuck. Because I think in general, online coaches, we're not great at everything. There's going to be areas that we struggle in, and I know
Mhm.
that's something that ultimately is great when they just have someone available that they can get a little insight from, and so forth. And then the last thing, which I know we do, which I think is really huge, is we bring in some guest speakers. I mean, we bring in some different professionals and some different perspectives that really can help grow basically these people engagement and so forth. So I think all of those together, obviously 30-40 minutes is enough to plan out an entire community to do all that. But I mean, there's some obviously some great nuggets in here, and we'll just continue to put these types of ideas out. We'll share everything we get as it comes in, as we're doing this on the fly. But I know you've been doing this now for a number of years, managing a community. If there was one tip, like one kind of final thing that you would say, like to kind of either focus on, or insight that like one nugget that you'd really want to share, what would that be?
Yeah, I think a couple of things is, and it's because I see this in the communities that are successful, is you got to keep it fun. School games is a very fun community. School in general, I think that's one of their kind of things that sets them apart, is they try to make it entertaining. Like they have all these cool little Easter eggs that you can unlock, which is kind of interesting and cool. Keep it fun, keep it simple. I think that I have a tendency as an entrepreneur to overcomplicate things. We have a very simple form funnel. It's like traffic, drive all that traffic into the free community, get them to consume the content in the free community, and just give them multiple opportunities to book calls. Like every post that you make, every lesson in your free class, in your free community, or your free course, and all the messages you're trying to get people to book a call. Once they get into the paid membership, just provide them tons of value. And there's different ways we can talk about it on a different chat about, but keep it simple, keep it fun, and provide tons of value.
Love it, man. Awesome. Well, hey, Ben, this has been great. I know this will have a lot of impact for people. So, with that, I'd say, man, we're good to go. Appreciate y'all, checking us out. We'll be doing a lot more of this content, and I'd say we'll see y'all very soon.
Yep. And if you want to follow along on our journey, be sure to join our free community, get access to that course on how to launch your new community and get your first 100 members. And we'll see y'all in the next episode.